Pregame.com.
Thursday night, Big Ten action. We've got Wisconsin traveling to Michigan State. Big game in the Big Ten. And Michigan State, this is their second big game in a row, coming off that Ohio State game on Saturday. This is a tough one to project the line because off of a win like that, Michigan State line's going to be inflated. But the two styles of these teams, dictate a lower scoring game. We're putting the line here. We're projecting it to be 6.5 or 7. Linesmaker could even surprise us and bring it out at 8 if you go on true power ratings, but we'll see what happens. I'm looking to the dog here. Tell me, I'll flip it to you. Tell me where I'm wrong, and I'll tell you what I'm looking at.
Well, I wish I could tell you you're wrong, but I think you're right. I'm looking at the dog also this one, or the Badger to be exact. But, I've done a lot of Midwestern radio shows again this season, and I've been talking about Wisconsin on some of those Big Ten area shows. And as much as I like the way this team has such a great work ethic, they do miss that consistent deep perimeter shooter that they had under Lauer, however you pronounce his name last year, John Lauer. And he was a good three-point shooter. They miss him. What I was talking about a few weeks ago when I was doing a show with Brian Leonard is I was saying, Wisconsin does have a couple of guys inside that if they got some touches could do a little bit of damage, but sometimes they forget about these guys on the interior. They don't get enough touches to make things happen. But the thing is that Michigan State had against Ohio State that they're not going to have against Wisconsin is that advantage of playing a physical brand of basketball because Wisconsin's going to answer. They might not have the deep perimeter shooters that are consistent from the outside that they've had in past editions, but they will play a hard-nosed basketball for an entire 40 minutes. What I saw in that Michigan State-Ohio State game was, first of all, you had Izzo who outcoached Thad Matta in preparation and in the game. But I also saw the bully effect. Ohio State got popped in the nose once or twice in the first half, and they wanted no part of a physical brand of basketball that the Spartans threw at them. That doesn't mean that Ohio State is not a Final Four contender. It was just one of those nights. But all I've seen since then in Big Ten circles is how great Michigan State is right now and all the pats on the back. And you know what that usually leads to?
Absolutely. I mean, you got a letdown coming, and that's what I'm banking on. Plus the fact it's a revenge game for Wisconsin.
Exactly.
Michigan State went to Wisconsin earlier in the year. And go back to that Ohio State game. The thing about the physical, I agree with you 100%. Not only the physical play, but Michigan State dictated the pace of the game. That's not the type of game Ohio State likes to play. Ohio State doesn't want to play a half-court game with you and play a game that's in the 50s. That's right in Wisconsin's wheelhouse. That's what they like to play. So they're not going to be as uncomfortable as Ohio State was playing that brand of basketball. Great advantage to Wisconsin in this game. And because of all the love that Michigan State's getting since that big win on Saturday, we're going to get value in the line. Add that to the fact that Michigan State already beat them earlier. That's going to add to the line value. I think we got a super live dog. It's got, I'm going to make it my video best bet of the week with Wisconsin plus the points here against Michigan State.
And that first meeting this season, it was a 63-60 overtime final. I mean, it went right to the wire and then some. And then at the end of the first overtime, Wisconsin hit a three, and it looked like a possibility for double overtime, but it was overruled. It was said it was just a tad too late after the buzzer. So Wisconsin knows how to play that physical brand of basketball, whether they have the star shooters or not. And you mentioned Ohio State doesn't want to play at that snail's pace, doesn't want to slow things down. The teams that have given the Spartans trouble are those that are willing to battle it out physically. And I wrote down some of those teams. Look at their games against North Carolina, Wisconsin, Michigan, and Illinois. All forced a deliberate tempo for Michigan State, which, the funny thing is about Michigan State, like you said, when they play against the Buckeyes, they want to be deliberate, they want to be physical, and they want to slow the pace down. But if you look at this Michigan State team this year, they're pretty comfortable playing with scoring in the 70s and sometimes even the 80s this year. But the teams that have held this team in check are those that are good at playing at that slower pace, that are willing to get dirty, down and dirty under the blocks, and be able to rub some elbows. And I tell you what, it's like NASCAR. I mean, rubbing's racing. Well, in this situation, that's what we're going to see against Wisconsin and Michigan State. And I hope the Big Ten officials let these two teams go at it. The problem with lay-in points, the caveat, if you like Michigan State in this one, is that this could be a first team to 50 wins this game. And in order to cover a spread when you're scoring 50, you got to hold the other team to 40 or almost 40 in this particular matchup.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I like about this, and I've talked about this with Brian on different videos, and it's one of my another little pet theory that I like to use, but I call it the ABC factor. And I'm not talking about the network, okay? What we're talking about is you look at this game, Wisconsin's 7-1 in their last 8 games. The only team they lost to in their last 8 was Ohio State. Michigan State just played Ohio State. So if I'm the average bettor, and I like to refer to him as John Q. Public, sitting there, he looks and sees, okay, Michigan State just beat Ohio State. Ohio State beat Wisconsin.
They do the syllogistic
thing. Yeah. So that means then, Michigan State should blow the doors off of, Wisconsin. Right. It's not that easy. If it was that easy, we wouldn't see all those bright lights on the strip and the big Taj Mahal, casinos that we have here. Yeah. So I like Wisconsin here. This is one of those games. The only way I see Wisconsin not covering this game is if they have one of those nights where they come out and shoot 30% from the floor and just go ice cold from the floor. That's the only way. I see this thing going right down to the wire. I'm actually calling for the upset. I'm going to take Wisconsin by 3 here.
Yeah, I like it. Like you said, the one caveat is if they come out and just start firing up shots when they're covered and they're not being patient on the offensive end. And they have done that a couple of times this season, although, as you mentioned, in the last 8 games, they've been much better. They had a 3-game stretch there a few weeks ago where I was telling Brian, we were doing the show, and I said, I was about ready to change careers and open up a LASIK surgery office in Madison because they couldn't find the backboard, let alone the rim, and they were just horrible from behind the 3-point line. So they've got to make sure that they come out in this game, and I think they will. They come out in this game and they try to go inside once in a while. Don't just sit outside and shoot 25, 26 3-pointers like they've done at times throughout the season. And then they've got a chance to actually not only cover the spread, but win the game outright. I'm with you. I think Wisconsin comes in completely focused for this game. I think they're catching the Spartans at exactly the right time.
You couldn't have a better scenario. Let down for Michigan State off of their biggest win of the season, and Wisconsin's had a week to prepare for this. They haven't played since last Thursday. So they've had nothing to focus on but revenge in Michigan State. I think it's a great spot. We're going to go with it. You got both of us on it. It's my video best bet. And as you know, every week whenever we do my video best bet, we give you guys a $10 coupon you can use to buy anything you want here at pregame. You just enter the coupon code at checkout and it'll take $10 off your order. The coupon this week, we're going with Wisconsin, so we're going to make it Wisconsin 10. That's all one word, Wisconsin, and the number 10, and you're going to get $10 off your purchase at pregamepros.com. He's Scott Spreitzer. I'm Marco D'Angelo. We're going to be back with one more video. We're going to go to Friday night NBA action. Little game, late night, Phoenix at the Lakers.